Hey guys, this is the first Rimare Devlog. Today, I want to introduce you to a project that has been being worked on for about 6 months now with a small team of developers. We're finally at a point where we're starting to add content to the game that isn't just framework code or writing the story. So, we figured we would start sharing with you now. So, what is it that we're making? We're making a pixel art RPG game with a sort of top-down perspective. You'll be able to follow a main story as the protagonist, while also having lots of other things to do within the world. We feel like our story is pretty unique. We haven't really seen anything like it in a game in this genre before, but I guess you guys will have to let us know later down the road. We wanted to give the player a lot to do though, besides just the story, because we felt it might get a bit boring if you were just giving a set path to follow throughout the game. So, besides giving the player choice within the story, which isn't something new by any means, we're also implementing some aspects that are more commonly found in MMORPGs, that we have been adapting to a more single-player interpretation. That being said, we're not just ready to show you those features in action, so you'll have to come back and watch the next few devlogs to see what we mean. Another thing we wanted to have was a large world to explore, which is why we've spent a lot of time designing and redesigning the world map. This is an early version of the map. As you can see, there's already a lot planned out for the player to be able to do. In the early months, we talked about having our game be entirely open world, but we ended up getting rid of that for more specific areas and some more linear aspects of the story designed for the player. But because we originally liked the feel of an entirely open world, we've made sure to be really careful in giving the player mostly full choice in what they do. So, the player can still have fun and sort of telling their own story within the game if they wanted to, which we encourage, while also being slightly guided at certain points. One of the bigger things that was going on while we were doing some of the background code and writing story was our art. We originally were inspired from Stardew Valley with their art style, but later we wanted to go into a different direction. Here's a picture of our first original player model. Here's what we redesigned during our second attempt. We stuck with this for a little while, but eventually we settled on this, which is still subject to change, but for now we are happy where we are with it. Another thing that used to be heavily influenced by Stardew Valley and other games that followed the same style was our terrain. Initially, we wanted just to get the basic design in our game, so we had the ability to test other things. So when we first started out, it looked like this. Once we got a lot of other things finished though, such as more background code and other art design, we went back and redid the terrain to be more like this. Like with the player model, we're decently confident in the design, but like always, it's subject to change by the end and probably will. We've also started to work on some more major art designs that will play key and influential roles in the continent of Rimare, which is what we're calling it right now, but we aren't ready just yet to show it to you. And we know that there are some people who would rather explore the game and play it themselves and discover it, so we're still deciding if we'll include it. But check later devlogs, as I'm sure we'll show it in some way, whether it's in full or as a sneak peek. One of the things I mentioned earlier was our story. We feel like our story is really unique and it's different from a lot of what's out there right now, though because we don't want to spoil much of it, if any, I can't really go into detail about it right now. One thing I can talk to you about is the process we went through though. We tried with a lot of aspects we liked from games that we had grown up with, and we tried to pull them all together, but the original version felt overly used in our opinions. It was just more of a simple story, as you're the hero, your princess needs your help, you help the princess, etc. Just to clarify, there's nothing wrong with these kinds of stories or the types of games. We just didn't want to make a game like that again. We didn't want to go into the direction of that. What we are doing right now is working on the dialogue system, making sure it works in the code that the way we want it to, while also writing the dialogue for the main story itself. A lot of this is just writing and then rewriting sections as we notice errors along the way. Something we really wanted to do was have a full fleshed out lore. So, as a player, when you're playing the game and exploring the world, you'll be able to learn more about the world and the continent, its people, the species, and even some of the plants just by playing. We also wanted to include a lot of ancient lore in some capacity. We feel like it helped to build the depth that we're trying to convey in Rimare. A lot of this just can be found out through NPCs or different areas of interest throughout the world, but you may be able to learn some more interesting pieces of information through things like dungeons, ruins, etc. Our team currently has 2 people working on a story, so trying to write all the dialogue plus side quests takes a lot of their time, especially since they have to work with our artists and programmers to make sure things make sense. Because of this, we can't really show you a side quest or quest in full functionality yet, but hopefully we will be able to show you that in our next coming devlog. Coding wise for Rimare, we want to be really focused on more basic but important aspects in our options such as movement, inventory UI, and item manipulation, and you can see a bit of that here. Another thing we really wanted to get down was scene management and combat. These may be more simple things for some of you watching, but for us, we didn't really want to spare any detail in these areas as they mattered to a lot of our team, hence the extended amount of time spent on them. Another reason why things may take a little bit longer to do for us than it might for some of your teams is the way that we've set it up. First, we all discuss a mechanic, then we plan it out, then our coder will write it all out before putting it in. Once it's put in the game, we review it as a team and talk about it. But because we have about 6 people giving their input, it can sometimes take a little while for all of us to agree on how something would work or look. And as any of you who code know, a lot of time goes into debugging things that we add in. Along with this is our coder's longest project that they've ever done. So it's sort of a learn as we go kind of deal for our team. Not just with coding, but with most of what we do, we end up going back and revising a lot of what we do as well, which results in delays at points of content being added. Now that we have a good start, we have brought in someone to help us with marketing, so we don't need to worry as much about that stuff and just focus on making a really good game. But if you want to see some of the stuff that we've been doing outside of the game and on our socials, and you want to interact with us, you can look in the description below to the video to see our Instagram and our Twitter. So that's everything that we wanted to talk about in our first devlog. There wasn't that much to show you this time, but we didn't want to show you a lot of things until we were able to put them into the game itself. With that being said, we hope that you enjoyed what we had to share today and you're looking forward to more devlogs in the future. We always welcome you guys back here and to watch our progress as we go along with Rimare. Thank you guys for your time, and I will see you all in the next devlog.